those interesting situations or things where, again, music has influence. Again, the media that you consume has an influence about your worldview. To what degree, that's up to here and there. And it's obviously due to freedom of speech and self-expression. I fundamentally don't believe that there's such a thing as this music cannot exist. I think everything and everything and all can exist. But I do believe in the idea of making music purposefully, and that doesn't mean that the music has to be purposeful. It just means that whatever the artist will put out there is something that they intentionally meant to do. So I guess I would like, on an artist level, to wonder the intentions that they put behind the music that they create. I'm wondering if this is something that's added towards creating a narrative, like either by self-expressing themselves or by shining light on maybe a situation or issue that they personally deal with or that they recognize in society, or if maybe that they just use this medium as, again, a means to just get out, and whatever conscious associations that might exist on the label will just happen to be. And then us as listeners, I sometimes wonder whether or not that we, again, engage ourselves with the music because it allows us to, like, do we sometimes engage with the music in a source of escapism, or like, okay, even though that I personally haven't engaged, I don't have any personal experience with the hood. When I listen to, let's say, a Schoolboy Q record, and then I can find myself, like, picture myself in Hoover Street, like either dope dealing and or, shooting a bunch of, shooting the ops or the opposition. I sometimes wonder, like, why does that image that is presented to me appeal to me so much, especially since it's not a reflection of my own personal reality. So I feel like sometimes we should, again, be more cognizant of why it is that we like the music that we engage with.
Right, and I think the whole storytelling aspect of it is of any genre, really. Like, how compelling is the body of music that you're presenting, right? Like, what about it is able to kind of like, grab your attention or like take you to a place like mentally where you can kind of begin to imagine like some of the emotions or like the experiences that the artist is trying to convey in like the lyrics or the production or whatever it is. And I think that, time and time and again, like, you can go like all the way back to like Eric B and Rakim and like KRS-One and like Dead Prez and then like NWA. Like, it's just like all this, it's been documented in the lyrics and like, how history keeps repeating itself. Like, even though like I think as a genre, hip hop has progressed a lot, like lyrically, right? Like, it's not, it's a little bit more, I don't want to say it's more complex, but I think it's grown and it's matured. Where
we definitely have a lot more flows and cadences for sure.
Exactly. But still, the subject matter is still the same, like,
Good point.
It's still like relevant to like have a song from like the 90s that talked about, like police brutality, like growing up in poverty, and still like those are still relevant topics in the genre. And like, I think in order to kind of like consume like hip hop, like in a way that kind of honors like the artist's like creation, is like to really like pay attention to what they're saying and to not really like just take it for granted. And like, I think it's amazing to like hear stories from like people who grew up across the country or the world. Hip hop is becoming a little bit more global now, but to really like begin thinking about like wow, like these records are still relevant today. Like a track from like NWA, to like today, like with somebody like J. Cole. Like, it's all interconnected, and I think we have to kind of like, I don't know, push ourselves to really like think about like what is this music really telling us? Like, what can we do? And I think that's a hard question to ask. Like, what can we do with this music? And like, even like, how these songs can be used at like protests and rallies, and like really like see like the effect it has. Like a song like All Right, like being used in a setting like where people felt like they had to speak out against some of the police shootings that were happening in the last decade, and really like be appreciative like of the fact that like people can rally behind a song like that. And it's both like awesome, but also like like wow, like we're really in a position where we have to kind of like speak out against this and